Welcome back to the Catalyst Pharmacy podcast. Today, we had a super interesting guest on. His name is Devan Conley. Really cool story in general. But he's with TrueCare Pharmacy in Concord, North Carolina, which, if anybody's familiar with, in my opinion, it's like the pharmacy research triangle of the of the world. From the pharmacy perspective, it's talks about opening a pharmacy in like an integrated like FQHC setting alongside an FQHC. They still own the pharmacy itself, but and they talk about like what it's like to open a pharmacy in that type of setting, the 340B around it, but also like learning to navigate different, I guess, drugs that you normally wouldn't, and standing up a long-acting injectable program and Suboxone and behavioral health. And then on the front side of the episode, he really goes through, like, in my opinion, a fairly timely story around the burnout from like COVID and on. And like, to me, it still lends itself to what we see going on. I think we've traded a little bit of COVID burnout with, I think the reimbursement landscape is still exacerbating what you would consider burnout as well. How he dealt with it, what he went through, and how he handled. He really had something real happen, and then how he recovered. And don't worry, the story ends really, really well. Running a successful pharmacy and expanding, but just a really, I think, one of the more raw stories I think I've heard in this setting that I think ends well, but I think everybody can resonate with it in some way. And Brandon will take you there now. I'd like to start, man, where like kind of like how you just kind of like got into pharmacy, and then like what, I don't know what pulled you in, I guess, and then we could kind of talk through the journey after that.
Just kind of what got me into pharmacy. I don't think it's like the most profound story. It was more of just kind of a curiosity. And then, like most people that age, you're looking for a steady job, something that you feel like there's going to be some good job security. But then on top of that, I definitely have been an altruistic person, I think, throughout my life, doing a lot of service work through high school and things. So the profession of pharmacy fit pretty well with my character. So that's why I kind of pursued it. But the curiosity angle, it kind of came down to more of like a micro level. I was always kind of curious about, how does this physical pill or medicine translate to something that's not something you can hold, or like a physiologic experience, right? So that's always been an interesting topic to me. And then obviously through school and learning all that stuff and through like firsthand experience, it's been like, oh, I see how that works now.
Yeah, for sure, man. Okay, well, cool. Well, I wanted to, like, you guys, one, just your pharmacy setup in general, and like how much you were growing as well. I was super like kind of taken back too a little bit about like just like what you guys do in the community as well. So like, I guess I'll let you start kind of where you want, but I was going to kind of like take me through a little bit of like the pharmacy journey in itself, like, obviously post school, and how you got your smart and your foot in the door in pharmacy, and how that's led to where you're at now.
Yeah, I think ultimately, I think this story can kind of be broken down into two phases here. For myself personally, obviously the pharmacy was there way before me. Probably going to be there way after me too. So I'm just a part of the story here. But the way my story fits in, I went to pharmacy school at Campbell University in North Carolina, and in March of 2020, I had the pleasure of doing a rotation at the time it was called Cannon Pharmacy Concord. Cannon Pharmacy got some other locations up here in North Carolina. We're kind of around the, Amina and Joe Moose area.
It's like the Silicon Valley. I don't know how you call it, like, of community pharmacy to a degree. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the better analogy for it is in a way, but like, it's just a hotbed of innovation going on all the time in that.
It's a blessing and a curse, right? In order to stay relevant in this area, you have to be willing to kind of do a little extra. Yeah. So we definitely, I think most of us will wear that badge pretty proudly that we're extra. So, but yeah, so I had the pleasure of doing the rotation there. And quite frankly, I got bit by the independent pharmacy bug that many listeners may relate to. And then, I think it was an intersection of several of my interests. I actually wound up doing an extra year in pharmacy school or prior to pharmacy school to get my public health degree. So my master's in public health. And, I think that there's a big opportunity, we can get into that later on, but a big opportunity for how, community pharmacy interplays with the world of public health and how we can help collaborate in that. But, and then my hidden interest, which was business. I didn't know that until I kind of really saw behind the scenes and like, oh, wow, there's money associated with these claims and, there's reconciliation and, learning all of the rules and the micro claim transaction details of all this stuff. So I got, I rolled up my sleeves and just became increasingly curious, probably too curious at times, and then just learning it. And, it's still a passion of mine to continue learning about that. But, so that rotation ended up, and I just couldn't say, sayonara to them. I was like, I want to hang around to some extent. There wasn't really a job opening at the time. So it's a little quick tip for any listeners out there looking to get a foot in the door. I formed an LLC, and then just stayed on as a 1099 employee. So I wasn't any sort of, employee obligation, no real added expense. So I stayed on to help with some special projects. And that timing of March 2020, many folks may know that time as a time where there were plenty of special projects coming down.
There was a lot of projects to happen shortly after that. Sure.
Yeah. So, I kept studying for my NAPLEX and getting licensed as a pharmacist, but I was also kind of helping to build some of those processes and procedures with COVID. And then basically how to kind of treat it and at a high volume, fast paced independent pharmacy in Concord, North Carolina. So that's kind of what I got into right there. So, we kind of built that. I got licensed. So I guess I should also just take a really quick reverse here. So I was hired on as a pharmacist right when my second son was born in September. Well, technically October, but right there. So my second son was born then. So I took a little bit of time off right there for him. My first son was actually born, I'm a glutton for punishment here too. So my first son was born right at the exact same time our exam started P2 year. I remember looking up, right when my wife, started active labor, at the clock, it was 7:30. I'm like, I was like, I could be over there. Oh, it was a long night before. Cause sometimes there's some uncertainty as to whether this baby's coming or not. And I'm like, should I be studying right now?
Right.
Everyone's cramming. So that was a fun experience. I can say fun now.
Fun now. I can just see you in there like freeze, and then you're like, got your book and your cards over here. I think, man, all right.
So I hope that, that's just another little stroke in the painting here of understanding about me and kind of, I really am glutton for punishment. And, I'm not very, I'm not really risk averse. So we had our son in pharmacy school. As pharmacy school went on, I definitely had the issues of, the focus, had a hard time paying attention, balancing life outside of school and wanting to be a dad and all those things. So I won my PCP and I wound up getting diagnosed with adult onset ADHD. I started medication Adderall at the time. So, and for me, that was like, it felt like the game changer for me, to help me kind of get through school. And then as I matriculated up into the professional world. So it definitely benefited me a great bit. It felt like it helped me. So now I'll fast back forward to now I'm the pharmacist, at this pharmacy helping to solve the problem of COVID, by building all of these processes, procedures. So we committed pretty heavily early on to the fact that we were not going to charge for COVID testing. And that was a really big challenge for us because many listeners may know too, with the medical billing component, it's still an ongoing struggle to figure out how do we bill for this. But we were figuring it out on the back end.
Yeah.
Famous last words, figure it out on the back end.
Right.
So we were doing that. Meanwhile, the need for COVID testing just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We took it personally in terms of, hey, if no one's testing and identifying these folks, our community is just, the appointments at the time were really booked up through the local chains. The pop-up sites for COVID testing had packed up and left as well. And so, we wound up testing and doing like a big clinic site up at a convention center. I think we did coming up on 2,000 tests and in like 1 or 2 days. So, we actually worked, kind of going back to the public health thing. We collaborated with our health department, the Bears Health Alliance, where we're at. And so kind of gave us some help to help organize those events. But the processes that we built in to kind of have some automation and, when they book their appointment, all their information comes through. That stuff was all kind of set up, and that's why they wanted to go with us to do that. But, we definitely weren't ready for that number of people. And so
that's a lot. Did y'all have any clue, I guess, so as to the volume of folks? It's tough to predict, I imagine. I just imagine it's hey, we're going to do this. Really don't know how the community is going to respond. And I'm sure your appointment windows probably help forecast a little bit, but I can't imagine you're just going to expect that many folks to show up.
We knew the need was there. And that's why we committed heavily to saying we're gonna try to host it at this place that's built to scale to some degree.
Very large scale.
So it definitely was testing that whole mantra. Is it built to scale? So it was like, hey, one day you're doing this, the next day you're doing this. So God bless our team at the time. The phone number on all the COVID tests was to the store. Meanwhile, we're still a pharmacy. Our technicians at the time, they handle the call volume. I kind of want to pull the reports back now to see what our call volume was like. It was insane. They stayed on the phone.
Wow.
What's my COVID test results? And speaking of that, this is kind of the segue into this. So basically, I wound up kind of in order to get these results out and keep up with the demand, I wound up needing to kind of pull all-nighters. And it felt at the time there was a lot of it was really challenging in my mind, because I was like, I just didn't really know what to do, frankly. I was like, the only thing I do know how to do is what I do know how to do, which is work harder and just do it all myself. So I kept pulling the COVID test results, making sure they were marked in the portal. I was doing that. Actually, my wife helped me a good bit too. And, we were going all night long, just trying to reconcile these tests, get the results out. And, obviously there's still the calls of, oh, you got to go to the portal. We got to log in and do all this, that, and the other. So, I mentioned that it started Adderall at the time, and you're pulling an all-nighter. It's like the work is still to be done. So I unfortunately did start to misuse my Adderall prescription at the time.
Yeah.
That's where the story kind of takes a turn for me, which was I, through my entire life, I abstained from alcohol use because I knew that in my family, and this is a phrase that we commonly use, is alcoholism or addiction runs in my family. And I think most people kind of leave it to that degree, and they just say, I will abstain, or I'm a light drinker, or I'm a light user,
or whatever, right? Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, it just runs as I'm a little I guess just I wouldn't even say overly cautious, but just more cautious than normal, because there's that, I guess, lineage in some way, and so that makes sense. But I think what you're trying to say too is people don't always also think about the other things that could still lend itself to.
Yeah, just really thinking through what does it mean for me
Yeah.
if I am predisposed to this, and I think there is a lot of evidence that supports this. But I mean that's just one piece about me, and kind of all of this. As I really stepped back to think through what happened at the time, it really became the perfect storm for me. So I started to misuse the prescription, and what happens when you misuse your prescription when you come due, because you come up short and you need the medication. So I really got put into a tough spot where I felt like the only solution for myself was, and instead of asking for help, figuring out what to do, I made some poor choices at the time, and I actually wound up diverting in the pharmacy, and at the time, and that process went on. We continued to do some work, you know, and the issue of substance use and abuse came about for me, and I started overtaking the medication and then taking more and then taking more, and to the point where, unfortunately, this process really only lasted like 3 months or so. I'm so grateful. I mean, I cannot even like express to you like how grateful I am that it only lasted 3 months before I got caught, because I made I don't know what you want to call it, if it's divine intervention, if God had his hand on me or whatnot, but I'm definitely glad I got caught, because I was at the time taking 500 milligrams of Adderall a day.
Wow.
And I think a lot of listeners will probably
Yeah.
be interested to hear that number.
That's a big number.
It is. So
general. And
I was losing my health.
Yeah, no, and that's something that I think, people don't realize too. I think sometimes, I think it's over 5%. I don't know, but like, just think 5% of the people walking around as adults are probably taking that medication in some way. And I do think it's, susceptible. It's like, just from what you read, the evidence, it's susceptible to that. So, and you're in a super unique situation. With that.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot I could talk all day about the medication and how it was affecting me at the time. But, I think evidence of that was, I was down to 130 pounds. I wasn't eating. The only thing I was eating was that medication. And I was ignoring warning signs, ignoring coworkers telling me to, take care of yourself. You're overworking, you're overdoing it. Devin, you need to go to lunch, you need to go eat. They were definitely looking out for me, but, at the time, and if anyone that's been in a recovery circle, there's a lot of messages and core messages that you hear. And these were things that lies that my addiction tells me, and things like that, that were very common amongst the people that are recovering, from any sort of substance use. Like, I'm the only one that can do this. Nobody understands me.
Yeah, they don't get it.
Nobody understands. And then I really felt like the means justified the ends, which for me was, trying to do what's right for the community, because I felt like I was the only one who was in the position like that. I was called to do that. And that was my sacrifice to make. Because frankly, there were, I was learning how to be a pharmacist. I just graduated. Like I wanted to be a good pharmacist too. I was trying to be on the bench. I was trying to learn all that.
Trying to earn a spot. You're trying to take care of your family. Like, I think to me, I can see how someone gets there, I guess. For me personally, I can see it.
Yeah, definitely not where I wanted to be, but I slid into that.
And just at the time, dude, I remember that time super well in the sense of like how much we talked about burnout in an industry so much, and like I didn't realize when we talked at Connect, for folks listening, that's kind of how me and Devin got connected. That you're kind of a prime example of one way burnout can go in that way if you're not watching out for yourself or your fellow benchmates.
Yes,
from there.
Definitely. And I think we'll definitely, don't worry, Mark, we'll definitely talk about what we talked about.
This will get more upbeat, everyone. I promise.
Yes, I know. I was talking with Brandon before this, and he was like, I was like, Brandon, based on your experience in storytelling, how should I best tell this story? He's like, well, provide some levity to it. Like, hey, there's another end to this. So,
Yeah. It
um,
gets better, I promise.
it
But yeah,
really does.
not to keep going dark though. Like this, I still think is timely in the sense of like what's happening with all the Rite Aids and like, I think Benjamin Jolly's highlighted some stuff that some really bad situations where, like pharmacy suicide rates and things like that. So it's like, it's just one of those things where I think this is a fairly timely conversation we're having around just taking care of yourself. And I keep saying bench mates, but like everyone else in the pharmacy.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll talk a little bit about like what the year looked like following that. I don't want to harp on it too much because, frankly, it was a really dark time for me.
And we don't have to if you don't want to like.
No. I am happy
Yeah.
because I do want to be transparent, and I'm happy to include whatever I like, because I think there's a lot of people who could benefit from just hearing you're not alone. And I think that this is more than just a substance use, but it's, this includes alcohol as well. And we deal with hard jobs, but we need to take care of ourselves first and foremost. And we hear it all the time, but if you don't take care of yourself, then you're not going to be able to take care of anybody else. That's more than just pharmacists. That's more than just people that work in a pharmacy. That's for everybody to understand that, especially those who have high demands placed on them. But yeah, I went from taking essentially exogenous exogenous dopamine given in the form of Adderall, of that much, and just my brain was just hit with that over 3 months in this environment, to walking in and reviewing what happened with my boss at the time, or my still boss. Again, there's levity, folks, here, and I walked out the same day and I was like, what just happened? And I'm at home now, and I had to go home and face the music about that. And the next few months that followed was I had the opportunity to voluntarily surrender my pharmacist license, and then to go get evaluated and say, like, well, how are you physically? Went to Fellowship Hall in Greensboro, North Carolina, where it was recommended that I get an inpatient rehabilitation stay. So I successfully completed a 1-month rehabilitation stay there. It's a very humbling experience for me, and one that I feel like I grew I grew personally. I was there for a personal experience, and I grew a ton for that. But I definitely gained a lot of professional exposure, and I think I grew professionally from that as well. As we'll talk about what we're doing right now. So recovery went really well. This whole time I have kept a really open mind. I've not felt like, and nobody should feel like they're better than anybody else. I felt just really connected to other individuals in the recovery community. And it's helped guide me as a professional and just how to just better connect with people in general, as a pharmacist. So, we, at the time, we were just the one store, TrueCare Pharmacy in Concord. And we were we had a couple projects we were working on with a local FQHC, federally qualified health center called Cabarrus Rowan Community Health Centers. It is a mouthful. If it helps, we do say CRCHC, but that's still a mouthful. Good thing we named the pharmacy that, so it's still a mouthful. So we were approached at the time, and I was still on leave, to ask if we would be willing to help them open an in-house pharmacy with them. Anybody in the 340B world or is plugged into that knows there's a lot of manufacturer restrictions that have been placed on these 340B goods that says, hey, you need to designate one pharmacy, or we're not giving these 340B discounts to get to your patients.
Yeah.
So they were feeling intense pressure to figure out a solution to that. So right time, right place. I had the bandwidth at the time because I was coming back online in terms of, I wasn't recommended to be back in the pharmacy as a pharmacist yet, but I was okay to resume work. So I pulled back out of my back pocket my 1099 that I did in the front end, and then still did the same thing to help bring this pharmacy online.
It's like construction and just getting it ready. So you basically took on a little bit of a project management role of getting a pharmacy from soup to nuts open. Is what it sounds like. It's kind of like your first wade back in from the recovery scenario. Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just like, I can't have designed this whole thing better myself. I mean, it really feels just like a divine time experience, because like the way I kind of progressed through this, I learned so rapidly and such like how independent pharmacy works. And, I was sort of pseudo prepared to be able to jump in the waters of let's open a pharmacy. And I knew all the terms and I knew who to speak to. I learned a lot. Don't get me wrong. I did not know everything. I learned a ton in the process, but when we opened this pharmacy over here where I'm sitting right now, I'm actually sitting in the behavioral health office, inside of the McGill Family Medicine, which is their like main site clinic. And right down the hallway here is the pharmacy that we opened for them. And so that opened February of last year of February 2024. And, we opened it. I went back to the board. I got my license back. David, the owner or one of the owners of TrueCare, migrated to this store with me, did a little shuffling around. And so it was, he and I were the ones that kind of jumped this one off. And, we have taken this as a really big opportunity in our world. We know how hard we fought to get exposure to providers, talking about clinical, collaborative practice arrangements. I mentioned that we are right down the road and we've worked with Amina before. So we actually used Amina's help as well, and her Avant Institute to provide us a fellow, to help get some of those like chronic care management programs up and running.
Some of those, yeah.
So, we had full-time, 3 pharmacists. Our pharmacist to tech ratio was a little skewed just to start. We definitely, David mentioned quite a few times, he said, I never thought at this point in my career, I'd still be counting 360 metformin. So we were still doing, we hired, and I should also mention the need to be bilingual in this environment is steep.
Really high then. Okay.
Very high.
Got it.
If anybody knows the FQHC world, that's going to be needed.
Is that Spanish speaking or is that something else?
Yes.
Okay.
Spanish speaking in our area. Yeah. I keep mentioning the word opportunity, but, for me, that was our biggest scare. We want to be good pharmacists and communicate with patients, but we're like, I don't know how to communicate with everybody. So, over the past year and a half, I have been able to become pseudo fluent in Spanish.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Instead of just, I remember one time specifically, I was trying to counsel a patient and David was like, Devin, just go grab a translator. I was like, no. He said, this is going to be awkward. This will be awkward, but it has to be if I'm ever going to get past this. And he was like, fair enough. So.
Well, that's good. What'd you use to start learning Spanish? What'd you use? So like,
I had a Duolingo app, but
Duolingo, like, Osmosis, all of it, right? Yeah.
I had it. I just learned by doing. I just ask questions, como se dice, how do you say, and I just, you say what you can to patients. And so, como se dice, and I'd say, what is this, like your shirt or something like that? And I learned how to learn a word a day, and then for long, I can handle 90% of the phone calls that come in now in Spanish. And it was just a good opportunity.
So it's got a little bit of like immersion then, in a way, more of like an immersive.
Absolutely. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Not easy though.
Yeah. Wow, that just pulls me back to like you talked about. I mean, I wish I had like an applause button every time someone like plugs somebody else that's like a rock star in some way. That reminds me of like Hashem was on a few months back, and he's super deliberate in the Milwaukee area about like just making sure almost every language is covered because he's in parts of Milwaukee where they're all one language or a lot of like predominantly another. And so he's like, that's like almost what he looks for and hires for. So that was super interesting. And he's like, same way with you. So it's like, he's like, we're just going to connect with patients. Like that's what we got to do. And we got to be able to do that. And so
you have to be intentional about how you choose about how you go about your communication strategy with patients.
So, okay. So you open the FQHC, good news. The story for Devin ended really well after all of that stuff and still going well. So you guys, what are you guys doing now in this pharmacy? It sounds like you had like a behavior component to it. You even alluded to even helping some of like maybe the folks you've met in recovery. So I guess talk to me a little bit about some of the impact y'all are making.
Yeah. So, to any listener, to Mark, if you don't, like for FQHCs, it is a safety net provider. So you're going to see a little bit of everything. Everything that the traditional healthcare system really doesn't mold to, that isn't ready for, FQHCs will see it. When it's like, what am I going to do for this uninsured patient who's got an organ transplant? And then like, you're like, I don't know. Those medications are expensive. I don't know how to make this work. So that just kind of goes to show like this is the breadth of what we do. And CRCHC as an organization is very passionate about being that one-stop shop for they want to provide care to everybody, more than just safety net providers, but also offering the services in a deliberate way that can do it, like providing urgent care service at this one site, having a dental office at the same site, women's and reproductive health is a big. They had a grant to be able to hire providers for that. When we first started the conversation, one of the first things we did when opening the pharmacy was if we know we're going to be at the practice and we're going to be needing certain prescribing practices, we need a pharmacy and therapeutics committee. We need a P&T committee to develop a formulary because we need to know we need to order to put on the shelf. So we started that, and that was our initial, like, let's talk with the providers and let's have an audience that we've never had before as pharmacists in a community setting, which still in the year 2025 is still bizarre to me that we're still having that issue as a profession. In that meeting, it came up. It's like, hey, we have a grant that we've got women's health, and we need to be able to dispense IUDs or intrauterine devices. We need to dispense different forms of contraception, and like, how do you do this program for all these patients? And to the traditional community pharmacy, if you get a prescription for a Mirena IUD, it's like, what am I going to do with that? Like, I don't know what to do with it. So, we just continue to learn new avenues of purchasing, continue to learn what can we purchase, how do we hold it in the pharmacy, and then I'm just gonna thank goodness, like AI for writing policies and procedures that come out has lowered that bar. Like traditionally,
man. Like just sped everybody up in that category because like you can still give it the bones and it'll just spit something out so much quicker. Yes, that's I probably lean into it almost too much in my life. Almost like I don't reach for it immediately, but pretty close to it sometimes.
I'm a firm believer in, like that's great for, like you said, getting the boilerplate terminology written down. Like, here's what we're doing, but I just to really describe what the program is and what we're doing, so we can all sign off on it. We're on the same page. So, so that's one part of supporting their women's and reproductive health program over here. We also have it was a really long process to be able to purchase it, but we were able to purchase Sublocade, which is a long-acting Suboxone injection.
Yep. Yeah.
That's given once a month. So really in the throes right now of helping them develop that behavioral health realm and long-acting injectables as well, and helping all patients and providers know that, there's more opportunity there than just a once daily pill that you may or may not be adherent to. So pretty firm believer that long-acting injectables is a good opportunity for a lot of folks. So we've got the pharmacist Kayla, who that came on through Avant. She's also long-acting injectable trained as well. So helping to build that program and incorporate the pharmacist into the practice to administer those. And there's the Sublocade portion as well. It's just to talk with a recovering community, and to connect with them in a different kind of way. I think it's big. I know that they have peer support specialists within their practice. They have group therapies. And I think that there's actually like an AA meeting that occurs over
okay.
in the area as well. So in our area, there's definitely a significant amount of need for the support of this community. So CRCHC is going to be their plug. They definitely, I feel like, and this is part of why we wanted to partner with them to do the pharmacy, was more than just a business opportunity of building the pharmacy. We felt that they embodied the community pharmacy spirit.
Sure.
In terms of let's just do the right thing. Let's find the people who need the help the most, and let's solve problems. I mean, pharmacists, I think, are world-class problem solvers. We do it all day, every day. We've got a line of people waiting on us to solve the next problem.
Yeah.
And so we kind of bring that to them. And so they have a mobile unit that will go into Charlotte, up into Salisbury. I'm getting a thumbs up.
I was like, I didn't even know that was even a thing. Okay. All right.
So they'll go all over the place and finding this disparate population of a lot of folks who are without housing, are having continued substance use disorders.
Sure. Yeah. Probably uninsured as well, and
a lot of times
not
they are
part of the traditional, I'll just say, like, current healthcare ecosystem today, and really probably don't feel like they have an easy way to enter it, just because it's the insured barriers and all of that other stuff. So
well, we definitely do feel strongly about our ability to help patients and people alike, like, navigate a complex healthcare system. It's like just navigating sometimes is just showing you the door to walk in sometimes is a thing. Anyway, so like we offer like a comprehensive delivery service. We use our in-house delivery for like the more local deliveries, but with an FQHC, I mean, they come from all over the place to come here. So we've got we do contract with some of the partnering delivery companies that partner with Pioneer and integrate with Pioneer, and so like that kind of has expanded our reach to be able to. I mean, they're not always profitable, but we're doing it.
Sure.
We're sending prescriptions out to Denver, North Carolina, to Albemarle, to Gastonia. So like, you should see that delivery driver's route from the Sundays. I'm just like, I don't know how you're doing it, but keep doing it.
Keep doing it. Keep showing up.
So that's the that's the behavioral health component. I'm excited to continue how we can support them in that growth. Much like why I'm willing and able to talk about what I was talking about with myself and my personal journey. Everybody's in their current story right now. And I feel strongly that mental health sometimes can be used as a bit of a buzzword, and awareness looks and sounds a lot different than just wearing a pin or wearing a certain color t-shirt.
I would say this: most, maybe not most, a lot of folks is only interaction with it is just what they kind of hear or see a little bit. They don't experience it themselves as much, and maybe um or directly or even like in their close circles at times. And really, like, it's unique in your situation, and I can tell like it's a big important part of like bringing it, I guess, to the front of conversations. And I just think it's, again, I'm repeating myself a little bit, where I just think it's timely and what we're kind of dealing with, where everyone feels like, I think they're working harder, and business outcomes are even tougher to achieve at times, and so they're trying to get even more efficient and even more efficient. And so it's just one of those things that although unexpected from our conversation at Connect, I was like, this is actually a really timely topic with the backdrop of what we're of the landscape we're in.
I agree, and that's why I was saying, I just feels like the timeline of how it all kind of comes together. It's just really good. So another thing I wanted to mention too is we were approached. You're familiar with the opioid settlement funds, and there was an organization.
I just know they exist, to be honest. So I don't know the mechanics of like what's actually how it's being deployed in any way. And I don't think I've met anybody who's tapping into or a part of how they're being deployed.
Well, brace yourself, because I got something for you.
You're pretty special.
So there's an organization, a nonprofit out of Raleigh. Their full background, you can look them up, but they're Community Impact North Carolina, CINC. And they were really tasked with helping to deploy some of those funds in the most effective manner possible, through different forms of harm reduction. Harm reduction is a kind of broad term used to describe harm reduction for medications and potentially abused substances. So in this scenario, we were approached with for a small cohort of pharmacies in North Carolina to be able to provide at no cost to the patient. I don't like to use the word free because somebody paid for it. Narcan and a locking bag and a small disposable pouch. So we worked to, and then more than that, not even just providing the product, but one of the questions they wanted to answer was, hey, if we incentivize pharmacists and pharmacies to have these conversations and actually get paid for the service, will they do it? And so the answer to that is yes, we would. And much like how if you pay pharmacies an administration fee for giving a flu shot, well, we know what pharmacies are doing. Like, look across the country, they're going, did you meet your flu shot numbers?
Yeah. Incentives drive behavior across not just pharmacy, everywhere, even in our business. So
yes, it's pretty simple math in terms of that. If you can make it a sustainable service to people who want to do it, like pharmacists, pharmacies, pharmacy staff, pharmacists want to do it the right way. Like, no pharmacist wants to walk in and start throwing out, well, some of them, the exception of the rule, so they don't really want to go out and start slinging a bunch of high-risk medications to people that may cause harm. Like, that's not what we do. So
not what anybody signed up for, typically. Yeah.
So, I mean, anyways, long story short, we've been able to deploy that, and they've, they sent us a shipment of, more than I was expecting, more than the staff was expecting, of this pallet of boxes, and just like, wow, we're not used to having the resources to actually like put behind, actually caring for people.
Yeah.
It's going to sound cheesy, but it truly is why we're called TrueCare Pharmacy. It's because that's the heart of what we were doing. That's the brand. And it's being authentic, and being genuine to the patients. And And so when that came first, we were like, well, everything else we'll figure out on the back end. And finally, CINC approached us and we had something on the back end to say how we can support this. So both of our stores have been able to, like, basically, if I see if there's a morphine bill equivalent attached to that, or if there's any sort of sedative effect attached to that benzodiazepine or any combination thereof, you're getting counseled, and all of the pharmacists and team is aware of it. You're gonna be talked to, you're gonna be spoken to. I want to make sure what are the risks associated with these medications, that you have a reversal agent if needed, that a family member has it if needed. We're not, so like, I mean, just straight up, we're not playing games anymore about this stuff. Like it's too important to ignore is what it's so, we're
great.
doing that.
Great work, man. Honestly, that's rewarding / so needed. And honestly, if the incentives could align further, among other things, just imagine how great care could get. Like, it's kind of the way I think about
Agreed.
all of that.
So, and that's why I'm appreciative of being of having this platform too, is like, you don't know what works unless you hear about it. Like, and pharmacists that are in the throes of being on the bench, doing the grind day in, day out, we're the world's worst storytellers. We cannot tell our story because the only people who know that story a lot of times are the people within those four walls.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just what we've got to get better at doing. As just a little rallying cry here to pharmacists.
Yeah.
And we're doing better at it. There's legislation. We know about all these legislation
Yep.
that are passing on the federal and the state level, transparency. But I mean, like, for long-term solutions, like, we have got to do a better job about transcribing our value.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. Transcribing our value. That's cool. Well, shoot, man. Did we get through everything? I was taking some notes. So if you saw me glancing, I was looking at some notes here. I think most of it. Is there anything else I left out that I was going to ask? I got a few other questions that I was going to hit you with, but I was wanting to tell a little bit of a pharmacy story first.
The cap that story off. I'd say, like, I think what has really helped us, and a big part of our story, is just keeping our eyes and our ears open, and then just simply looking to solve problems and not leaving it at what is the traditional role, and just being open-minded, partnering with your local health department, partnering with doctors' offices, partnering with businesses to look at their benefit designs, partnering with insurance agencies, partnering with, you could get as crazy as you want, partnering with zoos, partnering with, I don't know why zoos just came to my mind, but
no, zoos, we've had all sorts of types of pharmacies and pharmacies doing all types of things like come through.
I know. I've seen the animal species drop down.
Yeah,
it's insane. I think everybody gets a chuckle when they see that.
Yeah. Not too many people are like medicating turkeys, but they're there if you need it, I guess.
Yeah. I've seen goldfish, I think.
Yeah. So, no, that's a good way to think about it too. Before we leave, I wanted to ask you a couple things. I think we talked about this at Connect. And I guess before I get to it, I'll plug NCPA here and go, hey, if you're not going, anybody listening or watching, it's coming up in October. It's going to be in New Orleans. We'll be there. I don't know if Devin, you'll be there or not, or your True Value in some way might be there. I'm sure you will go. Like, from that perspective, it's a great show. It's where these thought leaders, like you heard me talk about Hasha, you heard me talk about Mina, like those people are there. That's how you get further in whatever you're trying to do. The one thing I wanted to ask you, a couple of things before you go, is like, I've been asking everybody this, is like, who was, I'll just say, the most important figure in your pharmacy life, to you?
Yeah, definitely it has to be David. I mean, I work shoulder to shoulder with him every day, and I have pretty much since I started. But I think that I think he exemplifies what it looks like to be a master of the craft of being a pharmacist and being just so deliberate in every little interaction that you do when you talk to patients, when you talk to your coworkers, and then just showing that like professionalism. The first lesson I learned from him, and I noticed it right away, was professionalism comes in different shapes and sizes, and it does not have to come in, with a white coat. It doesn't have to come with always being super clean around the edges. A lot of times we, the way we communicate with patients, like communicate with them in their language and how they communicate, being a little bit more relaxed and talking with patients. And, I was just like, I just learned so much and just how you can talk to a patient like you're talking to a friend. I'm like, that's sounds so simple, but like, in terms of influencing me as a professional, that's probably the biggest piece that helped me. Like, I'm going to take that. I'm going to start doing that myself too. And just, he's been doing it for 20 plus years now. His name's David Line. So he, he's going to listen to this later. So I don't want to give him too many props.
We'll tag him.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he looks at any social media, but we'll tag him. See,
he has no social media because,
all right. Well,
because
I figured
so, and so here's the thing too. Like I initially, when Brandon reached out to me about doing the podcast, I was definitely like, hey, I want to do this, but I want David to come and be a part of it too.
Yeah, I kind of was hoping I was getting a twofer, but that's okay.
So, but that ultimately, I think this is what I told you. I was like, he's one of the. I talk about how pharmacists we're the world's worst at transcribing our value. It's because he's too busy providing the value. It's like when you're in the courtroom and there's nobody that's recording it, and the pharmacists that are out there pushing out this value every day, doing this, the ones that are doing what they're supposed to do, the ones that are, here's the plug, CPESN network,
yes,
all the ones that are doing the enhanced pharmacy services, like that are doing these things, like, I mean, we've been trying, and we're gonna continue to get better, but like, but above all else, that's part of David's thing. Just do
nice.
just do the thing.
Just do the right thing. Right?
How long does it take to counsel a patient on a new antibiotic? Doesn't take long. Just give, put some respect on the pharmacist's name, right? Like, but we've got to continue to earn it. Like, we've got to continue to earn it. We can't lay down and just cry. And we've got to, and also we can't just let there be value because of what we are. We have to go out and actively get the value by doing the work first. You also, sometimes the opportunity isn't there. Sometimes you have to create the opportunity. So independent pharmacies and pharmacists and business owners are the best suited people to solve problems, get after it, create the opportunity. So sorry, I know you may have more questions, but I'm really passionate.
No, you're good.
That's
exactly. I only have one more question after you, and this is what I ask everybody. So I don't know if you're ready for that one, but like, I have one that I'm gonna give. What are you reading, watching, or listening to right now that you think everybody would be into? And it can be for fun or for work, either way. I'll go first, and you can think on yours. So Sykes just did a podcast. I don't know if anybody knows who Sykes and Company is, but Scotty Sykes does a great podcast, in my opinion, around like the financial health of a pharmacy. And it's really about like, tax strategy, yada, yada, really about like, there's a whole portion of keeping more of what you earn in that way. And then also, some, I guess, kind of like best practices around like ratios and things like that. But anyway, he had Doug Hoey on, who's the CEO of NCPA. So kind of talk through some updates around like legislation and things like that, and also just what he's seeing and thinking about. So I would say like I'm totally don't care about plugging my own podcast ever. So it's like we'll put that in the show notes and things like that. But that was mine. That's one. That was a work one. Normally I come with the non-work one.
I think maybe I'll try to give you both. So I work-wise, I have stayed plugged into Adam Fine pretty well and the Drug Channels Institute and Pembroke Consulting and all that. He just try to, being in the pharmacy every day, it's nice to have that, I don't even call him the 100,000-foot view up that he provides. And don't always agree with everything. I think that there's, but that's always open for debate. But I definitely stay plugged into that world, and just so I can understand understand the roads that we're driving on a little bit. I am reading the EOS entrepreneurial book. The EOS, what's it called?
What's that called? EOS.
It's the EOS entrepreneurial system.
Oh, okay.
It's something that TrueCare had implemented a while back. Really try to kind of keep it going. It helps to provide some sort of framework for how you get work done in a chaotic world.
Okay. Wow, God, I need that.
So it's, there's a lot of, all kinds of these different systems and books and methodologies about, business coaches and things like that. But EOS as a framework for getting work done is a pretty good one, by teaching you how to make cadences and what should a meeting look like, what does an effective meeting look like, how do you maintain good use of your time. But ultimately, it's about providing, this is a good capper for this podcast, it's about providing balance, and being able to provide your life some healthy boundaries. And I want to talk a little bit just here because, I kind of got into some issues with my personal journey because I didn't have any balance. So, in my personal life, how did I gloss over this? The day we opened the pharmacy over here was when my third child was born.
Of course it was, Devin. Of course it
was. She was our first girl. Her name's Emma.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah. So my wife and I, my wife's name is Brannigan. We've been married since 2015. And she was my rock through all of that kind of got us through, and she still puts up with all of the stuff that a busy entrepreneurial pharmacist puts up with, spouse puts up with. She continues to do the grind day in and day out. She continues to take care of our family. We've got our oldest son Grayson, who was born in pharmacy school. I can't believe it, he's almost 8 years old. He's doing football, playing tackle football now.
You still got all your hair too, man. That's great.
I know.
Like,
I didn't want to. I know. I've been subtly kind of hitting it a little bit, hoping you pick up on it.
Yeah. No. Clearly, I know the score. I know the score, but easily.
Yeah. But I can successfully say that since he started football, I haven't missed a single. Well, I missed one practice, but I think and that would not have been made possible had I not gone through the journey that I did. I would have continued to went further and further. So taking care of myself has enabled all of this to happen for myself and for the business. Has continued to allow me to be present, allow my kids to have a present father. And I just can't be more grateful for where I am today.
Yeah. Well, dude, we're all grateful you're here. You're still making a huge impact in your community, and it's just representative of what a lot of folks that are on this show and a lot of folks that aren't on this podcast are doing out in the world in pharmacy. So really just to appreciate you giving us the time today that you were sorry we couldn't make this a 3-person episode, but that's okay. We'll figure that out. some other time. But man, and I think the story about your personal experience is timely, and I don't think I think it's a good representation on like what's kind of happened over the past few years in general, and the ecosystem itself, and still, hey, there's light at the end of this tunnel. It can still get better. So I just think it's a great story and great timing from that side.
Thank you. And if anybody who's listening can resonate or has or is in a spot where they don't know what to do or they don't know what to say, I don't know if you provide contact information or if I should
honestly,
plug it
how
right
do
here.
people get a hold of you? Like, it's not even like, even whether it's that side of the house or like, I know so many folks who are like, man, I don't know how to get started with this long acting. Like, you talked about like it takes a long time to get through getting a hold of, and a program in place around like long acting injectables for certain things. So like, how do folks get a hold of you, Devin?
You can email me, or you can call. But my name's, I'm on LinkedIn. I don't really do much Facebook. I'm on like the Pioneer, Facebook group, and you can find me on there. But LinkedIn is one way, or you can email me. It's probably the best way. Devin.Conley@TrueCareRx.com.
All right. Well,
TrueCare with TRUECARE. Sometimes people leave the E's off. Or the E.
Got it. All right, man. Well, we'll let you get back to it, man. I really appreciate you being on.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Good talking to you.
Yes, sir. All right. See you. Bye, everybody.